So the dead period has indeed been extended. We talked about this on the Sunday night show. I was stunned by the volume of feedback that I got. I'm going to share some of it with you. I'm not going to give names, but I'm going to share some of it with you. But I talked about how embarrassing I thought it was, the way that the dead period has been handled. The dead period essentially meaning prospective athletes, recruits, in other words, they haven't been able to go visit places. High school coaches have not been able to get out on the road and see them. A lot of these kids have missed camp opportunities, in-person evaluations because of that. It just heavily impacted the 2021 class. We had Nick Saban on the show a couple of weeks ago. He shared with us it'll affect the 2022 class even more. And so now we get it official from the mouth of the oversight committee to the rubber stamp of the NCAA. We are extending the dead period until the end of May. So the next possible date that things could open up is going to be June 1st. Here we said it is mid-February. March is out the window. April is out the window. May is out the window. 3 months further, we just kicked the can down the road. On the Sunday night show, I told you what all that means that kids are going to miss. But now I just want to quickly reiterate the reasons that are being given why this is necessary are not necessities. So it's not necessary. The reasons being given are very lazy. They are very straw mannish. It's not true reasons. It's just talking point reasons. They've probably been focus grouped before they were ever handed out, but it's kicking a can down the road. It is further robbing a lot of kids who are going to very much need that opportunity and need those few months. It's robbing them of that. And you've got a lot of, and here's the reality factor. You got a lot of presidents out there, and that's who's to blame here. If you want to blame someone, it's not the NCAA. They made the call they were told to make. In this case, I think you gotta direct your attention elsewhere. There are a lot of university presidents out there that are comfortable with status quo right now. It means they're not having to spend money. They already fell short in terms of a fiscal or physical year this past year, and they are comfortable with not having to spend money on visits and not having to spend money on sending their coaches out on the road. And for every Alabama, there are 20 programs fractional to Alabama who also fit under the NCAA purview, the D1 Oversight Committee purview. And hey, man, they're happy to not be outspent by the big spenders right now. The problem therein lies, folks. You didn't hear me say a word right there about what's truly best for players, and you didn't hear me say a word about safety, because that's not at the forefront of this decision. It hasn't been for a long time now. It was needed. We needed to have a dead period at the outset of this thing. No one knew what was going on. Do you understand? We just played an entire college football season. We just played a season where in virtually every state we're talking about here, teams went back and forth. In many cases, we allowed fans in the stadium. And now we're telling high school kids, no, it's not safe for you to come out of your house and with your mom and dad go to a campus where they can have protocol in place and you can walk around and tour a campus. It's not safe. It's not safe for a college coach that just went through an entire season to come to your school. You know, he may go to Publix today. He may go to the post office. He can't come to your school, though, where kids already are around other people. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So let's dive into this because I wanted to give you some feedback that I've gotten. As usual, a lot of people are kind of scared to voice their opinion. Some of them could have jobs to lose. Some of them are in a position where they're not allowed to speak out on this sort of thing. The feedback has been overwhelming. I thank you. I encourage you. Keep giving me the feedback. JoshPate706@gmail.com, on Twitter @LateKickJosh. I appreciate it. And the audience appreciates it because of what I'm about to do. So let me give you some of the feedback I've gotten. So I wrote a lot of it down. I'm going to paraphrase a lot of this. Countless coaches have reached out to me and members of maybe the off-field staffs, personnel departments, recruiting departments. These folks, in a lot of cases, are livid. I would call it the unanimous sentiment, actually. I can't think of one person who disagreed. The unanimous sentiment. It's several people. It's not one or two folks. Several people in the coaching world and the player personnel world laugh at the idea that they could not conduct visits both on campus and off campus at high schools safely. I mean, it's laughable on the surface. I don't have to dive any deeper. I mean, to suggest after having an entire football season that we couldn't conduct recruiting visits or go to high schools is laughable. So they are irate, and they see, by the way, a lot of these player personnel and coaching types, they understand there are some in their midst who aren't speaking up because they enjoy a little bit of downtime right now. if you can't be out on the road recruiting, then, maybe you get to sit at your desk a little more often. Maybe you get to go home a little earlier in the afternoon. They also know that there are some presidents at smaller schools relative to the big boys who are happy with status quo right now and who affected and impacted this decision. And what they want to say is, how about we open it up and give choice? And if you still want to sit at home, that's fine. We're gonna lap you, but you can sit at home. That's fine. Just give us the opportunity to go do what we're paid millions of dollars to do. I'll tell you who else I heard from, probably more than any group, was players and parents of players. Unanimously, again, I think I had one person who said to me, even after they opened this up, I'll probably be hesitant. That was one person. God bless you. You do whatever you want to do. I'm fine with you having that choice. But then I had dozens and dozens and easily dozens of other kids and parents who said, this is ludicrous. And see, they're the most emotional because they're the ones who don't get another opportunity. Like at 24/7 Sports, after the class of 2022, you know what we're going to do? We're going to turn the page and there'll be a class of 2023 and then 24 and then 25. That cycle just keeps going. Okay. We get to do it every year. If you're an actual junior right now, about to be a senior, you only get one shot at that. And if you're going to be a 5-star kid, the number 6 overall player in the country, this is not going to impact you. But if you're like the number 784 player in the country, and you would have been a guy who previously, if they got their eyeballs on you, Kent State or UTSA would have given a committable offer to, and you can't get an in-person evaluation and you can't get on campus. And once we finally open up this dead period and we allow visits to take place, if you don't have the means to do it in the summer and you don't get to take your official visits like you wanted to, because by the time the time has come around to do that, your actual high school football season is cranking up. There are a million different things that could get in the way. What do you do? What do you tell that kid? They know this, okay? Those parents and players, they already get it. And that's what needs to be at the forefront, because what they keep saying is, people keep telling us what's in our best interest. No one asks us. Like, no one comes to us and says, hey, would you like the option? Because that's what they want. They just want the option to kind of control as much as they can their own future. I've gotten feedback from college professors. I had one the other day that has been back and forth with me several times throughout this entire ordeal. This is a guy that I had some disagreements with early at the outset of COVID, where I wasn't making many definitive statements back then because I didn't want to sound like an idiot. I mean, I still don't make many definitive statements on something that I'm not an expert on. I don't even claim to be a college football expert, so I'm certainly not an epidemiologist by any stretch of the imagination. But he and I were going back and forth because he was of the opinion that we needed to really, really clamp things down and he didn't even want us to have a college football season. Okay. So I mean, we had cordial talk, we disagreed on it, but it was what it was. I get an email from him the other day, and the title of it was, I'm willing to admit when I was wrong. But so this guy now is very emphatic, just kind of paraphrasing, talking about how this has to change, because it's very clear to anyone who is the least bit observant. You're taking a generation of kids, you're taking a classification of kids. And again, the top dogs in any class, they're going where they want to regardless, but that's a fraction of the overall pie chart. And you're taking a lot of kids whose plan A is playing football, getting out of maybe a bad home situation, getting out of a poor upbringing, very limited options academically, but maybe football is that kind of beacon there that is there. And if you maximize your potential there, you could go get a life-changing college degree, even if you don't play past the college level. And you could change your future, your family's future, your kids' future. And you're talking about, in some cases, those kinds of opportunities being plucked for no other reason than really politics in the world of college football. It's a different flavor of politics, but it's still politics. And it's enraged a lot of people. I'm just telling you, it's been a lot of people very much out of shape. And they're not the kind that are going to, go march on NCAA headquarters tomorrow. It's not going to be trending on Twitter tomorrow. But there is this undercurrent of a lot of people very frustrated with the way this has been handled. And so I haven't heard their voices given enough of a megaphone nationally. So whatever small part we can play here, I have tried to play that part. And listen, hopefully now, I think January 1st is our next shot. Hopefully things get opened up there, and hopefully, opportunities that may be missed end up not being missed. I don't know how this is all going to play out. I just wanted to give the voice to a lot of folks who don't have one speaking for them right now at a national level, who are very frustrated. So I can tell you, I hear you. You're not alone. A lot of other people hear you. And there are a lot of us that are every bit as aggravated and fed up as you are.